When Dee found out that Huyen and Maya were still here, so close in fact, just in a village on the mountainside, his heart nearly burst. After months of searching in vain, a hope he thought had long since died suddenly flickered back to life, like the first sunlight on a winter morning. He turned around instantly. Though his legs had been aching moments before, it now felt like the wind was carrying him. He ran straight to Adam's little wooden cabin, the place where they had once shared humble meals and long conversations deep into the night. "Adam, I know where they are." Dee shouted, his voice trembling with emotion. But the cabin was silent. No response. No sound except the wind, whispering through the cracks in the wood. Dee circled the house, heart pounding faster with every step. Then he let out a breath and murmured, "Probably up on the hillside." Working again without hesitation, Dee turned and took off down the narrow, overgrown path. Every step was a sharp pain, from walking all day without rest, but he didn't care, his heart was pulling him forward. As he neared the farm, he spotted a familiar figure, bent over in the golden light of dusk, working the soil. Even before he got close, Dee shouted across the hilltop, his voice echoing Adam, "It's me, I found them." "Huyen and Maya, they're still here." Adam looked up, confused at first. But when he saw the joy on Dee's face, he dropped his hoe and hurried over out of breath. "You're serious, where? Who did you talk to?" Dee nodded, catching his breath between words. "Across the mountain at Uncle Tu's house. An old man there said he saw a woman and a little girl living in the village just like Huyen and Maya." "I'm sure it's them." Adam looked at Dee's, lighting up with hope and emotion. He clapped his friend on the shoulder hard. "God, after all this time you did it?" Dee smiled. "Eyes misty, let's go right now." Adam didn't hesitate. He tossed his hoe aside, brushed off his hands, and said, "Let's do it, we can't keep them waiting." That evening the two friends walked down the hill, their feet on the ground but their spirits soaring. They weren't just crossing fields or winding paths. They were walking towards something they thought they'd lost forever. A reunion that might finally soften the silence and sorrow of all those long, lonely months. The morning market was as bustling as ever. Voices echoed through the air, vendors calling out, customers chatting and laughing, blending into a familiar symphony of noise that somehow felt warm and comforting. Under the soft light of early morning, the little guava stand, where Huyen always sat with her daughter, seemed bathed in a gentle, golden glow. Fresh, vibrant green guavas, plump and fragrant, were neatly arranged on a woven bamboo tray, inviting passers-by to take a look. As usual, Maya sat quietly beside her mom, wide-eyed and calm, watching the busy crowd flow past. She was always so well-behaved and patient, as if she understood how hard her mother was working, and how her own small presence could help. "Ma'am, would you like to buy some guavas to help my mom?" Maya asked sweetly, her voice soft and innocent. The gentle tone in her words made nearly everyone turn and look. One woman stopped smiling as she crouched down. "Of course, sweetheart. Give me a kilo with a pitch like that." How could anyone say no? Huyen smiled warmly, carefully wrapping the fruit. "Thank you so much. With my daughter helping today, business has been a lot better." A few hours later, the last of the guavas had been sold. Maya let out a happy little cheer. Mom, we're all out. Can we go home now? Huyen gently brushed her daughter's hair back, her eyes soft but distant, like her thoughts had wandered somewhere far away. Yes, but let me pick up some meat and vegetables first. We'll cook something special tonight. Okay, she stood, letting her gaze drift over the crowd, moving through the market, and deep in her chest, there was still that quiet emptiness, a piece of the past that refused to close. So many times, she had told herself he'd forgotten about them, that he'd moved on, but just as many times, her heart would whisper a quiet hope. Maybe, just maybe, one day in the middle of this crowd, a familiar face would appear, and he would look her way and call her name, just like before taking Maya's hand. Huyen weaved through the maze of colorful stalls and laughter. That hope stayed quietly in her heart, persistent and gentle like the morning sun, that warmed her through the long days of waiting. The sun was setting slowly over the golden fields, casting a warm, fading light on the tall grass, swaying gently in the breeze. Dee and Adam walked quietly along a narrow dirt path, the wind carrying the earthy scent of the countryside, and the faint chill of rain on its way. They didn't say much, just the occasional word, each lost in his own thoughts, each carrying something unspoken. Dee looked ahead, his voice a mix of hope and nerves. Once we cross this field, that's the next village. Right, Adam? Adam nodded, eyes lighting up. Yeah, we're close. Let's pick up the pace. We don't want to get caught after dark. They walked faster. The tall grass rustled beneath their feet, and in the distance, gusts of wind swept across the fields. As they neared the entrance to the village, they slowed down when he spotted a middle-aged man sitting on the side of the road, taking a break. He stepped forward and asked politely, "Excuse me, sir. Do you know where Uncle Tieu's house is?" "He keeps buffalo, I think." The man looked up and pointed ahead. "Just a bit further. Red-tiled roof right on the corner of the village." "You can't miss it, thank you so much," Dee replied, turning to Adam and nodding with quiet determination. The wind picked up, sending clouds of dust swirling around them. The sky darkened fast, and gray clouds moved in overhead, like they were urging the two men to hurry. As they rounded a small bend, a modest house with a red tile roof came into view, flanked by an old line of banana trees. Standing still in the evening wind, Dee's heart skipped. He knew this place. This was Uncle Tieu's house? He broke into a run, hands trembling, his chest tight with emotion. "Uncle Tieu, are you home?" He called out, his voice cracking under the weight of everything. He was feeling silence. The house didn't stir. It felt asleep. Day circled the yard, peeking inside. Nothing but stillness. Adam stepped beside him, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. "Maybe he's out, I'll check next door," he offered. Right beside them on the porch of an old house, an elderly woman was calmly sorting through a basket of vegetables. Dee approached, bowed his head respectfully, and asked, "Ma'am, do you happen to know if Uncle Tieu is home?" She looked up at him kindly, though with a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Oh, he's been away a few days now. Is there something you needed?" Dee swallowed hard, his voice barely rising from the ache in his chest. I was hoping to ask him about Huyen and her daughter." Maya, the old woman, studied him for a moment, then sighed gently. "He should be back in a few days. I'm sorry, child. He stood still, the wind whipping his hair around, carrying with it the sting of disappointment. Adam gave his back a reassuring pat. Don't lose heart, Dee. We're close, really close. Dee nodded slowly, trying to keep his emotions in check. After all the waiting, all the long, rough roads, they had finally reached the threshold of the place that might lead them back to Huyen and Maya. He hadn't seen them yet, but something deep inside whispered to him, that moment is coming and it's closer than ever. That evening, as gray clouds rolled in across the sky, the soft wind rustled the garden that wrapped around a small bamboo house nestled in green. Inside, Huyen gently cradled Maya in her arms. She stroked her daughter's silky hair, eyes glowing with quiet joy. We sold a lot of guavas today, Maya, she said with a smile. Thanks to you being so sweet with the customers, things were much easier for me. Maya beamed, her innocent eyes sparkling. I remembered what you told me, Mama. I spoke loud and clear, and everyone smiled at me. Outside on the porch, the wind began to pick up, sweeping dry leaves into playful spirals. Across the yard, the sky held its breath heavy with the promise of rain. As Maya played in the garden with their little dog Bibi, she suddenly shouted, "Yes, I'm from my mom, look. There are people standing by the garden. It's the buffalo herders." Huyen stood quickly, surprise flashing across her face. She moved to the window, and there they were, familiar figures from the past. The very people who had helped her build this home when she and Maya were struggling the most. It really is them, she whispered. Then turned to Maya. Rain's coming fast, we need to bring them inside. Without hesitation, Huyen stepped out into the wind, waving her hand and calling out with warmth in her voice, "Uncles, it's going to pour. Please come in and stay dry with us." The herders looked up and instantly broke into smiles. One of them stepped forward, clearly moved. "My goodness. Look at this house. I can't believe how beautiful it's turned out." Huyen, you really did it. Another looked around the garden, eyes full of gentle pride. "We only helped a little back then. Never imagined you'd build something so lovely." Huyen welcomed them inside, pouring tea and offering it with gratitude. The wind howled outside, but the little house was filled with a quiet warmth, not from fire, but from hearts reunited. Eyes met, smiles were exchanged, and for a moment time felt like it folded in on itself. These were the very hands that helped lay the foundation for a dream, and now they were here again, as if summoned by the wind itself. Maya leaned in close to her mother and whispered, "Mama, I feel so happy right now." Huyen pulled her daughter closer, holding her tight. She smiled, grateful, hopeful, and full of something she couldn't quite name. What she didn't know was that somewhere, carried by that very same evening breeze, day was getting closer than ever before.